Okay, so it is 13 hours to election night, or it is election day in the United States. Currently, there is a lot of states that are kind of cooled or relatively in that basket for a lot of indicators, such as the polls, most punditry, and the indicators like the national sentiment is also somewhat stuck, and so thus we're looking at a very tight race. So in this video, I will discuss which states are going to be the tightest and how a tight race will influence who wins the race rather than a random landslide. It's 1 a.m. in election night, and the map looks like this, as the polls exactly predicted. Now, in this situation, we have 3 battleground states, and not that one. No battleground districts. That is the states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Nevada. Now, currently, according to the national sentiment seen from these other state picks, Trump has a 70% chance of winning this election in this scenario. Now, it changes with a win in Wisconsin, even though Wisconsin doesn't actually. It changes with a change in Nevada, even though Nevada does nothing to the electoral college count. So, for example, yeah, Nevada ends up 78 if Trump wins it, and then if Harris wins it, it becomes a lot lower. And so thus, this isn't exactly going to be the perfect if these states are above 50% in the polls, because we're going to see early voting. Early voting shows a Pennsylvania with a Democrats up and a Wisconsin with Democrats up, but independents are also in the mix in Wisconsin where they're not in Pennsylvania. But as well as that, if the Pennsylvania is up for Trump as it hits 90% ish, and it's quite well up than it hits 90% ish, then it might be because they might be tabulating to the 2020 margins, which might be extremely dangerous. Why? Because this is what it looked like in 2020 with the early vote. The Democrats were ahead with 64 points, and now they're down at 56. So that's an 8-point loss in comparison to the 2020 election, which means that in this situation, it is likely that Trump will win the election just through Pennsylvania or through Wisconsin, or through Wisconsin's independence. But it's likely that Pennsylvania's business district might pull through slightly later on in this election if the early vote is cast from the early vote. So I'd actually say this would probably be a Trump win in Pennsylvania and a Trump win in Wisconsin, just from the fact that they are very from the fact that this situation is very red. But if the polls are right, it would probably be around pretty decent for Democrats in Wisconsin as well. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of mobility in this map, with another horribly long waiting win in Nevada as well. So this is the first situation. If we're at like 1 a.m. and these 1 a.m. Eastern Standard, then and we're at this situation, then all Trump has to do is win one of Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. Either of the two would get him the election in this scenario. So that's really good. And if it's really really close, then Pennsylvania has a lot of counties. So as seen here, there are a lot of counties, and so it is very easy for Trump to go to the Supreme Court and like pick out a few to pick, just like George Bush did in 2000 in Florida. So, and that was how George Bush ended up winning Florida. He ended up winning just basically by the Supreme Court, which is a pretty decent strategy, just from having advantages just in general. Similar in Wisconsin, there are also a lot of counties in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's counties. Wisconsin counties. Yeah, look at that. Crazy amount of counties in Wisconsin as well. Here's an actual. Yeah, there we are. This is a more direct dead heat scenario with an unexpected battleground in Georgia being extremely tenuous to call. This idea was put up by the Wisconsin field director, and he discussed that it was very close in these two states and that the polls weren't pushing in Georgia where they probably could have been. Now, in this situation, the national sentiment shows a 92% chance that Trump will win from these states. If Trump wins this before midnight, gets into here before midnight, it is very likely that Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Nevada will go red enough for Trump to win the election. Of course, furthermore, early the position is very much good for Trump in the early vote. Trump is currently beating Harris by 3 points in the early vote in Georgia, and we've discussed Pennsylvania before. But if the electorates sort of, if the election officials push Pennsylvania from the 2020 margins and expect that into 2024, then they're likely in for a Trump. Then it's likely that they won't project a Trump win, but they would project a Harris win way earlier. Oh, no, they predicted Trump win way earlier, and they wouldn't predict a Harris win. Either of them. But the one that benefits Trump probably happening in Pennsylvania. If Pennsylvania hasn't been called and they're adjusting to 2020, then it's likely that Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania in this, according to these calculations. And so, yeah, this definitely looks extremely well for the Republican. In Nevada specifically, Nevada has a... If Nevada is won by Trump, then it's very easy for Georgia to sort of go red for Trump. It's going to take some time to load, but you can already see, Georgia's in the likely Republican, which in this position means it's like 85%, some crazy number, chance of going to Trump, assuming that Nevada in this situation goes to Trump, and Trump has a 95% chance of winning this election because he has to win one of them to win the election, while Kamala has to win both. And if Kamala Harris wins in the state of Nevada, that changes this election sweeps quite a bit, because now Trump has to win Pennsylvania, and Georgia sort of doesn't really matter in this situation at all. So it's really a Pennsylvania win that will determine where the election goes in the 2024 position. And so, yeah, this dead heat definitely looks like... definitely looks a bit more happy for Trump. If you're rooting for him, then you want a lot of these dead heat positions rather than the landslide-ish positions that Trump has considered himself close to. And I'm definitely in support of the dead heat because I love seeing close elections come into the race and just sort of seeing them play out, Yeah, this one, it sweeps, but not that much. 85% chance because he wins. Yeah, because he wins Pennsylvania with an 85 4 or 80, pretty close to 85% chance probably, in this scenario. And so yeah, there's gonna have some real difficulty with this position. It's very strong for Trump if he gets into a position like this. I thought this position was actually going to be scary before I looked at the statistics, but the statistics show that if it's this position at any time of the night, then I'd give Trump a very decent edge in this election. Now, this is a famous 2016 esque political situation in which Nevada and New Hampshire are toss ups, and the rest of the states are considered. The Rust Belt is blue and the Sun Belt is red. This position is extremely unlikely, given that the Rust Belt is called before New Hampshire, which would be a crazy scenario. Now, in this situation, it is likely that the position in New Hampshire is going to be very good for Democrats, and then, yeah, of course, Nevada is similarly there. In this one, Kamala has a 99% chance of winning, which is just stupid. Yeah, this one, it was just suggested by. It was also discussed in Gold Crown Politics, where he discussed this. Uh, Furthermore, it is likely that New Hampshire is very close the in the mail-in and early ballots, but I don't think it might be enough. It might be enough to flip this to keep the state if there's if it's really unlikely. Um, yeah. Current. Wait, what? They've got calls here. You know, they've got 3 votes each currently in the state of. This is as it is going currently now in the state of New Hampshire. The state. This is, and they're currently a toss-up. So you know, you never know. You never know. With this position, it's very likely. But it's still, you know, kind of likely that there is a bit of a strong margin for Harris in New Hampshire, because even though it's anti-war and anti-whatnot, an anti-whatnot state, you know, anti-incumbent state, that it's also kind of an anti-Trump state now as well, and so that makes it, even though if it's very very swingy. And there's a whole lot less counties in New Hampshire as well. New Hampshire counties have not got much in them either. Like, there's not that much districts to really flip and to count for Republicans that they would go to the Supreme Court and count. And so this position would be beneficial for Kamala Harris, assuming we get up to this position. It might be slightly different if you grab Nebraska's second, because that's Kamala Harris losing one little electoral vote. And yeah, if you flip Nebraska's second, and then it becomes a bit different. It gets a bit wonky around here, because the chance of a tie ends up increasing by quite a bit. 44 in 100% chance of no electoral college winner in this situation, because of a Trump flip in Nebraska's second. So you never know, but yeah, there is a lot of dead heat situations, but these 3 are definitely the highlights. You know, out of the dead heat situations, I definitely say these are the 3 that are the most fun to watch. 70 in 100 chance for no electoral college winner. That is so funny. Yeah, that's gonna be a bit of a prank. But yeah, assuming that there's no Nebraska second, then there's a bit less of that. Um, yeah, 70 in 100 chance of no electoral college winner. Nobody wants to see a Nebraska second flip. In a dead heat. If you want a Nebraska second flip, you want it to be amongst Trump wins, like heavy Trump wins in most other states. And so yeah, there we are. So yeah, those are my three situations that happen in the 2024 election. That might happen in the 2024 election. It might happen during the night. It's going to be a very daunting night for all of us. So it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be uh, just a fun night to watch. These two idiots doing their thing. But yeah, they're going to be president one day, which is nice. Like presidency has any power